I was standing in line at Home Depot, holding a can of Dexane, when my marriage ended. The notification popped up on my phone at 2:37 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. A message from my neighbor, Greg Patterson. We weren't close friends, just the kind of guys who'd wave across the fence and occasionally borrow tools from each other. Which is why what he sent me made my stomach drop. Ryan, I'm sorry to do this, but you need to know. I got home early today. Below that, a photo. My hands went numb. The can of stain slipped from my fingers and hit the concrete floor with a metallic clang that echoed through the store. People turned to look. I didn't care. I couldn't stop staring at my phone screen. The photo showed my house, my driveway specifically, and parked in it at an angle that suggested someone had pulled in quickly, carelessly, was a silver Audi A4 that I'd seen before. Many times before, actually. It belonged to Tyler Brennan, the 32-year-old assistant principal at Riverside High School, where my wife, Melissa, taught English. The timestamp on Greg's photo read 1:15 p.m. Melissa had texted me at noon, just 2 hours earlier. Staying late after school today. Department meeting. Don't wait up for dinner. School didn't end until 3:15. My brain tried to rationalize it. Maybe Tyler had given her a ride home because her car broke down. Maybe they were working on something school-related. Maybe there was a perfectly innocent explanation for why his car was in my driveway in the middle of the day when she was supposed to be at work. Then Greg sent another message. His car's been there for 40 minutes. Thought you should know. Again, I'm sorry, man. I left the can of stain on the floor and walked out of Home Depot in a daze. The drive home took 12 minutes. I know because I watched every second tick by on my dashboard clock, my mind racing faster than my truck's engine. We'd been married for 9 years, together for 11. Melissa and I had met at a friend's barbecue back when I was working construction, and she was finishing her teaching credential. She'd laughed at my jokes, touched my arm when she talked, and looked at me like I was the only person in the world. We'd gotten married at a vineyard in Napa, honeymooned in Hawaii, bought our house in Sacramento 3 years later. We had 2 kids, Emma, who was 7, and Jack, who was 5. We had a mortgage, a golden retriever named Buster, and a 10-year plan that included paying off debt and maybe buying a cabin near Tahoe. We had a life, or at least I thought we did. I pulled onto our street at 3:02 p.m. The silver Audi was gone. Our driveway was empty except for Melissa's white Honda CR-V parked in its usual spot. The house looked exactly as it had when I'd left that morning. Pale yellow siding, dark green shutters, the basketball hoop over the garage that I kept meaning to adjust because it leaned slightly to the left. Everything looked normal. I sat in my truck for a moment, engine idling, trying to decide what to do. Part of me wanted to believe I'd overreacted. Greg had probably been mistaken about the time, or maybe Tyler really had just dropped something off. There could be a dozen explanations, but my gut knew better. I'd felt it for weeks now, maybe even months. The way Melissa had become distant. How she'd started taking her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. The new clothes she'd bought, including lingerie I'd never seen her wear. The way she'd been too tired whenever I tried to initiate intimacy, but somehow had energy to go to the gym 5 times a week and get her hair done every other Saturday. I'd ignored all of it, told myself I was being paranoid. That marriage went through phases, and this was just a rough patch. That we were both busy with work and kids and life, and of course things felt different than they had in our 20s. I'd been a fool. I turned off the engine and got out of the truck. My legs felt heavy as I walked to the front door. I could hear Buster barking inside, his happy bark, the one he did when someone was home. The door was unlocked. It usually was during the day. "Melissa," I called out as I stepped inside. "In here." Her voice came from the kitchen, bright and cheerful. Too cheerful. I found her standing at the counter, wearing black yoga pants and a fitted pink t-shirt I'd never seen before. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and her face was flushed. From exercise, she'd probably claim, though we both knew she hadn't been to the gym. "Hey," she looked surprised. "You're home early. I thought you were working on the Henderson project until 5. She caught herself. "I mean, I thought you had to finish that deck." "Department meeting end early?" I asked, my voice flat. Something flickered in her eyes. Just for a second. Then she smiled. "Oh, it got rescheduled. They sent us all home. I was just about to text you." She was lying. I could see it in the way she wouldn't quite meet my eyes, the way her hand moved to her phone on the counter, protective. "That's funny," I said, "because Greg saw Tyler Brennan's car in our driveway about an hour ago." The color drained from her face. The color drained from her face like someone pulled a plug. "Greg?" Her voice came out thin. "Greg Patterson?" I nodded once. She set her phone down on the kitchen counter. Her hand was shaking. "Ryan, I can explain." "Don't." The word came out harder than I intended. "Don't you dare tell me you can explain why Tyler Brennan's car was in our driveway at 1:15 on a Tuesday afternoon when you texted me about staying late for a meeting." "How did you?" She stopped herself. Regrouped. I watched her teacher face slide into place, the one she used with difficult parents. Calm. Reasonable. "Tyler stopped by to drop off some curriculum materials. That's all. He was here maybe 10 minutes. 43 minutes. What?" Greg's timestamp on the photo was 1:15. I got home at 1:58. Tyler's car was gone, but you were here, freshly showered, changed clothes. I counted it off on my fingers like I was explaining something to Jack. "So either Tyler sat in our driveway for 43 minutes going through curriculum materials, or you're lying." She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. "We were going over the new AP literature framework. It took longer than I thought. I didn't shower. I just changed because I spilled coffee on my blouse during lunch. You texted me at 2:03 that the meeting got rescheduled, 45 minutes after Tyler was already here. I must have mixed up the times. Stop." I pulled out my phone, brought up her text. Read it back to her word for word. "Meeting running late, might not be home until 4. Department head on a roll. The meeting you said was rescheduled." Which one was the lie, Melissa? This text? Or what you just told me about Tyler dropping off materials? She stared at me. I watched her trying to calculate which story would stick, which version I might believe. It was like watching someone I'd never met before. "Both," I said quietly. "Both were lies, weren't they?" "Ryan, how long?" "Nothing happened." "How long?" She pressed her palms against the counter. I noticed she'd painted her nails. When had she started doing that? 3 months, maybe 4. But it's not what you think. 4 months. The number sat in my chest like a stone. "You've been sleeping with him for 4 months. We're not." She couldn't even finish the sentence. "It's complicated." I laughed. Actually laughed. It sounded wrong in our kitchen, like a cough in a library. "Complicated, right. Is that what we're calling it now?" "You don't understand." "Then help me understand. Explain to me how your colleague's car ends up in our driveway in the middle of a workday. Explain the new lingerie I found in your drawer last week. The Victoria's Secret bag you said was for your sister's birthday, except her birthday was in March and it's October. Explain why you take your phone to the bathroom now. Why you started going to the gym 5 days a week when you used to hate the gym. Why you bought a new perfume, got highlights, started wearing makeup to work every single day." Her face had gone from white to red. "You went through my things? That's what you're worried about right now? That I found the lingerie you bought for him?" It wasn't for him. "Don't lie to me." My voice cracked. I heard it echo off the cabinets, the ceiling, the pale yellow walls we'd painted together 6 years ago. Emma had helped, gotten more paint on herself than the wall. We'd laughed about it for weeks. Melissa flinched. I'd never yelled at her before, not once in 11 years. I lowered my voice. I deserve the truth. At least give me that. She was crying now. Real tears, not the fake ones she'd used when her principal denied her request to teach AP Lit 3 years ago. These were different. Uglier. It started at the spring conference, she said finally. In Austin. We were both on the panel about differentiated instruction. We got drinks after, just talking. Nothing happened then, I swear. But we kept texting, just about work stuff at first, then other things. He made me feel, I don't want to hear what he made you feel. You asked, I asked how long. I asked for the truth. I didn't ask you to tell me about your feelings for the guy you've been screwing in our bed. We never, not in our bed, never here. I stared at her. Oh, well, that makes it so much better. Thank you for that consideration, Melissa. Really thoughtful of you. Ryan. Where then? His place? Hotels? The back of his Audi in some parking lot? She didn't answer. Didn't need to. I could see it in her face. All of the above, I said. Got it. My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably Greg, checking if I was okay. Or maybe my foreman, wondering why I never came back from Home Depot. The deck stain was still sitting in my truck bed, probably baking in the afternoon sun. I'd have to return it. Wouldn't be staining any deck this weekend. What was today? I asked. Why risk bringing him here? The kids are at your mom's. You were supposed to be at work until 5. I thought... She stopped. You thought you were safe. You thought you could have him over to our house in the middle of the day, and I'd never know. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen, Melissa? When were you planning to tell me? Or were you just going to keep lying until I caught you? Until someone else caught you? I don't know. Her voice was barely a whisper. I don't know. I pulled out a chair, sat down. My legs felt like water. Does anyone else know? No, God no, just you. Tyler's married, isn't he? She nodded. Kids? Another nod. 2. Boys. Great. That's just great. I put my head in my hands. Does his wife know? I don't think so. You don't think so? I looked up at her. How considerate of you both. Very thoughtful, keeping it quiet. Wouldn't want to hurt anyone. Ryan, please. Please what? Please forgive you? Please pretend this never happened. Please let you keep screwing your coworker while I raise our kids and pay the mortgage? I'll end it. Today. Right now. I'll call him and tell him it's over. You think that fixes this? I don't know what else to do. She was full-on sobbing now, makeup running down her face. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. I'll do anything. I stood up, walked to the sink, filled a glass with water and drank it. The water tasted like metal. Everything tasted like metal. I need you to leave, I said. What? Leave. Pack a bag. Go to your sister's. Go to a hotel. I don't care. But I need you out of this house before I pick up Emma and Jack. Ryan, no? They're not coming home to this. They're not going to see you like this. See me like this. They're not going to know their mother is... I stopped myself. They're 7 and 5, Melissa. They don't need to see this. Please don't do this. I'm not doing anything. You did this. You made this choice. You made it every single time you texted him, every time you met him, every time you lied to my face about where you were and who you were with. I set the glass down. Now I'm making a choice. And my choice is that my kids don't come home to their parents screaming at each other in the kitchen. She stood there, frozen. Pack a bag, I repeated. You've got 20 minutes. Where will I go? That's not my problem anymore. She left the kitchen. I heard her footsteps on the stairs, heard the bedroom door close. I stood at the sink, staring out the window at Greg's house across the street. His truck was in the driveway. He'd done me a favor, sending that photo. A terrible, necessary favor. I pulled out my phone, opened my contacts, scrolled past Melissa's name, the little heart emoji next to it suddenly obscene, and found my brother's number. Danny answered on the second ring. "Hey, what's up?" "I need a lawyer," I said. "A divorce lawyer. The best one you know." I sat in my truck in the driveway for 20 minutes after Danny said he'd text me the lawyer's number. The house looked exactly the same as it had that morning when I'd left for work. Same pale yellow siding, same dark green shutters, same basketball hoop over the garage where Jack had been practicing his layups last weekend. Everything looked normal. I went inside. The house was quiet. Melissa's car was gone from the garage. She'd actually left like I told her to. I stood in the kitchen where we'd had the conversation less than an hour ago. Her coffee mug was still on the counter. Half full, lipstick mark on the rim. My phone buzzed. Danny's text. "Keith Lawson, best divorce attorney in Sacramento. Calling him now to give him a heads up. Don't talk to Melissa without documenting everything." 3 minutes later, another text with a phone number. I called it. Lawson and Associates. Professional female voice. "Keith Lawson, please. Danny Ryan referred me." "One moment." The hold music was classical. Piano. Something I should probably recognize but didn't. "This is Keith." "Ryan Cooper. My brother Danny just called you." "He did. I have an opening tomorrow at 9 a.m. Can you make that?" "Yeah." "Good. Between now and then, don't leave the house. Don't let her back in without a witness present. Don't discuss anything substantive over the phone or text. She can use it against you. If she tries to talk, tell her all communication goes through attorneys from this point forward. Understood?" "Understood." "Do you have access to financial records? Bank statements, credit card bills, investment accounts?" "Yeah. We have a joint checking, joint savings, and a mortgage. She has her own credit card for work expenses. I need you to pull every statement from the last 6 months. Print them if you can. Look for unusual charges, hotels, restaurants, gifts, anything that doesn't fit normal spending patterns. Can you do that tonight?" "Yeah." "Good. See you tomorrow at 9. My office is on J Street downtown. Parking garage next door." He hung up. I went to the home office, the small bedroom we'd converted when Emma was born. Our filing cabinet was in the closet. I pulled out the last 6 months of bank statements. We got paper copies because Melissa didn't trust online banking, said she liked having physical records. I spread them across the desk. May, June, July, August, September, October. I started with October and worked backward. Most of it was normal. Groceries at Safeway, gas, utilities, Emma's soccer registration, Jack's swimming lessons, my truck payment, mortgage, the usual rhythm of a family living paycheck to paycheck with a little left over. But then I saw it. September 14th. The Westin, Sacramento. $287.43. I remembered September 14th. It was a Saturday. Melissa had said she was going to a teacher workshop in Sacramento, some professional development thing about integrating technology in the classroom. She'd left at 8 in the morning, come home at 6. A Saturday workshop that required a hotel room. I kept looking. August 22nd. The Marriott, downtown. $312.78. July 18th. The Hyatt Regency. $298.50. June 9th. Back to the Westin. $287.43 again. 4 hotels in 5 months. All charged to our joint account. All on Saturdays when she'd claimed to be at workshops or meetings or professional development sessions. I felt something cold settle in my chest. My phone rang. Melissa. I didn't answer. She called again. I still didn't answer. A text came through. "Ryan, please. We need to talk about this. I can explain." I typed back, "All communication goes through attorneys. Don't come to the house." Three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. You're really doing this? You won't even let me explain? I didn't respond. Another text. What about Emma and Jack? When can I see them? That one hit harder. I stared at it for a full minute before typing, through attorneys. Ryan, I blocked her number. Then I called my mom. Ryan, is everything okay? No. Can Emma and Jack stay with you tonight? Maybe tomorrow night too? Silence on the other end. Then, what happened? Melissa and I are separating. I'll explain later. Can they stay? Of course they can stay. Ryan, what? Thanks, Mom. I'll call you tomorrow. I hung up before she could ask more questions. The house felt too quiet. I went back to the bank statements. Kept looking. May 4th. The Hilton Garden Inn. $265.89. 5 hotels. 5 months. I pulled out my phone and took pictures of every statement, every hotel charge. Then I logged into our joint checking account online, Melissa's concerns about security be damned, and downloaded PDFs of everything going back a year. While I was in there, I noticed something else. Venmo transactions, small ones, $40 here, $60 there. All to someone named Tara W. with a little coffee cup emoji. I didn't know anyone named Tara. I clicked on the transaction history. 12 payments over the last 4 months. Always between 35 and 75. The memo line was always the same. Thanks. I took screenshots of those too. Then I went to Melissa's credit card, the one she used for work expenses. I knew the login because we'd set it up together, and she'd never changed the password. The statement loaded. More hotels. Different ones. The Embassy Suites in Austin. That would have been the conference where it started. The Courtyard by Marriott, twice. The Hampton Inn. But also restaurants. Lots of restaurants. Places we'd never been together. Expensive places, steakhouses, Italian, a sushi place downtown that charged $180 for dinner. And other things. Victoria's Secret, $156.78. Nordstrom, $423.56. Another Victoria's Secret charge, $198.43. I thought about the new lingerie I'd found in her drawer 2 months ago, the black lace set. She'd worn it exactly once, said she'd bought it to feel good about herself. I took pictures of everything. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Ryan, it's Melissa. Please don't shut me out. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. But we can fix this. We have kids. We have a life together. Please. I stared at the message. Thought about blocking this number too. Instead, I screenshotted it and saved it to a folder I created called Divorce Evidence. Then I blocked the number. Another text came through 5 minutes later. Different number. This is Tyler Brennan. I think we should talk. Man to man. This situation has gotten out of hand. I read it 3 times. Man to man. Like we were buddies having a disagreement. Like he hadn't been sleeping with my wife in hotel rooms I'd paid for. I typed back, "Don't contact me again. Talk to my attorney." I blocked that number too. Then I called Danny. "Hey, how'd it go with Keith?" "Meeting tomorrow at 9. I found hotel charges on our bank statements. 5 of them. All from the last 5 months. All on days she said she was at workshops." Danny was quiet for a second. "You're documenting everything?" "Yeah. Taking pictures, screenshots, everything." "Good. That's good. How are you holding up?" "I'm fine." "Ryan." "I'm fine. I need to go through more statements. I'll call you tomorrow after the lawyer." "Okay, but Ryan, you can call me anytime. You don't have to do this alone." "I know, thanks." I hung up and went back to the credit card statements. There was a charge from September I'd missed. A jewelry store downtown. $847.32. I went to our bedroom. Opened Melissa's jewelry box on the dresser. Nothing new that I could see. Same earrings she'd had for years. Same necklace I'd given her for our 5th anniversary. Same wedding ring she'd taken off and left on the kitchen counter before she left. So who got the $840 piece of jewelry? I took a picture of that charge, too. It was almost 6 o'clock. I needed to pick up Emma and Jack from my mom's, but I couldn't face them yet. Couldn't look at their faces and pretend everything was okay when their whole world was about to fall apart. I texted my mom, "Can they stay for dinner too? I'll pick them up around 8. "Of course, take your time." I sat at the desk and kept going through statements, looking for anything else. Any other evidence of the life Melissa had been living while I'd been working 10-hour days and coming home to play basketball with Jack and help Emma with her homework. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. "Ryan?" Melissa's voice. "Please don't hang up, please." "I told you. All communication through attorneys." "Ryan, I'm pregnant." The words hit me like a fist. I couldn't breathe. "What?" "I'm pregnant. 8 weeks. I took a test this morning. I was going to tell you tonight. I was going to end things with Tyler and tell you, and we were going to—" I hung up, stared at the wall. 8 weeks. I pulled up a calendar on my phone, counted backward. Early September. The phone went dead in my hand. 8 weeks pregnant. I stood in my kitchen, our kitchen, staring at the microwave clock. 6:47 p.m. The kids would be home with Danny in 13 minutes. 8 weeks. I pulled up the calendar on my phone, counted backward. Late September, early October. We'd had sex exactly twice in September. Once on the 7th, her birthday. Once on the 23rd, a Sunday morning before the kids woke up. I remembered because it had been the first time in almost a month before that. But she'd been sleeping with Tyler for 3 to 4 months. Since the Austin conference in early May, she'd said. That was 7 months ago. The math didn't work in my favor. I set the phone down on the counter. My hands were shaking again. The same tremor that had started when I'd opened Greg's message yesterday afternoon. Was it really only yesterday? It felt like a year had passed since I'd stood in my driveway watching Tyler Brennan's silver Audi pull away. The doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Danny had a key. I looked through the peephole and saw Tyler Brennan standing on my front porch, hands in his pockets, looking at his shoes. I opened the door, but kept the security chain latched. "Ryan." He looked up. His eyes were red. "Please, just 5 minutes. Get off my property." "She told me." His voice cracked. "About the pregnancy. I need to know if you're going to—" "Going to what?" I kept my voice level. "Make this easier for you?" "I deserve that." He rubbed his face. "I know I deserve that. But there's a child involved now. A child who might be yours," I finished. "That what you came here to say? That you knocked up my wife and now you want to what exactly? Co-parent?" He flinched. "I don't know what I want. I just know that if the baby is mine, I can't just walk away from—" "You should have thought about that before you started screwing her in hotel rooms on my credit card." I started to close the door. "Wait." He put his hand on the door frame. Not pushing, just resting there. "Does your lawyer know about the pregnancy?" I stared at him. "Why?" "Because it changes things. Legally. In Texas, if a woman gives birth during a marriage or within 300 days of divorce, the husband is presumed to be the legal father, even if he's not the biological father. Texas. Where they'd gone for the conference, where this whole thing started. "We live in California," I said. "Same law. Most states have it." He pulled his hand back. I looked it up. If she has this baby before your divorce is final, you're legally the father unless you contest paternity. Which means DNA testing. Which means lawyers. Which means the kids find out everything. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You researched this already. My wife kicked me out this morning. I've been sitting in a Hampton Inn room all day trying to figure out how badly I've destroyed my life. He looked past me into the house. She's filing for divorce, taking the boys. I'll be lucky to see them every other weekend. Good. Yeah. He nodded. Yeah, I deserve that too. But Ryan, I'm trying to tell you that this pregnancy is going to complicate your divorce. Melissa knows that. That's why she told you. Why do you care? He met my eyes. Because if that baby is mine, I don't want you trapped raising my kid while I'm paying child support to two different families, and you're stuck in a marriage you can't get out of cleanly. I heard a car pull into the driveway. Danny's truck. My kids are here, I said. You need to leave. One more thing. Tyler pulled a folded paper from his jacket pocket. This is the name of a lawyer who specializes in paternity cases. Not for the divorce, for the paternity piece. You're going to need someone who knows how to navigate this if you want to contest it. He set the paper on the doorframe ledge. I'm not doing this for you, he said. I'm doing it because I've already destroyed my marriage and my relationship with my sons. I don't want to destroy yours too by letting Melissa use this baby as leverage. He turned and walked back to his Audi. I watched him drive away as Danny's truck pulled up. Emma and Jack tumbled out, backpacks bouncing. Emma ran up the walkway. Dad, Uncle Danny took us to In-N-Out. Did he? I picked up the paper Tyler had left and shoved it in my pocket. That was nice of him. Danny followed the kids inside, carrying their backpacks. He waited until they'd run upstairs to their rooms before he spoke. Was that Tyler Brennan I just saw leaving? Yeah? What did he want? I told him about Melissa's call, about the pregnancy, about what Tyler had said regarding Texas law and paternity presumption. Danny set the backpacks down slowly. Jesus Christ. Yeah. You believe him? About the law? I don't know. I pulled out my phone. But I'm going to find out. I called Keith Lawson. He answered on the second ring. Ryan, I was just about to call you. I got the financial documents you sent over. We need to talk about Melissa's pregnant. Silence. She called me an hour ago, I continued. 8 weeks. She's been sleeping with Tyler for 7 months. We had sex twice in the time frame. Okay. Keith's voice shifted into lawyer mode. Okay, first question. Do you want to pursue paternity testing? I want to know if it's mine. That's not what I asked. Do you want to pursue legal paternity testing, which will delay the divorce, cost money, and potentially create a paper trail that your children might someday see? Or do you want to proceed with the divorce as planned? I looked up the stairs, heard Emma and Jack arguing about whose turn it was to pick the movie tonight. Tyler said something about presumed paternity, that if she has the baby before the divorce is final, I'm legally the father even if I'm not the biological father. He's right, Keith sighed. In California, if a child is born during the marriage, the husband is presumed to be the legal father. You can contest it, but you'd need to file a motion, get court-ordered DNA testing, and if you're not the biological father, the court would need to determine who is, which means Tyler gets dragged into your divorce proceedings officially. And if I don't contest it? Then you're on the hook for child support, potentially for 18 years. For a child that might not be yours. I sat down at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd confronted Melissa yesterday, where she'd admitted everything. What if the divorce is final before she gives birth? Then you're not presumed to be the father, but she can still file for paternity and child support if the child is biologically yours. Either way, Ryan, this pregnancy is going to be part of your divorce whether you want it to be or not. What do you recommend? I recommend we file a motion for expedited divorce proceedings based on the affair and the questionable paternity. We push for a final decree before the baby is born. That's roughly 7 months from now if she's 8 weeks along. It's tight, but possible if she cooperates. She won't cooperate. Then we make it expensive for her not to. Keith's voice hardened. You've got documentation of the affair, Financial records showing she spent marital assets on hotels and gifts for her boyfriend, and now a pregnancy of uncertain paternity. We can argue that her actions have made it impossible to determine accurate child support obligations until paternity is established. We push for temporary orders that freeze her access to joint accounts, require her to pay back the money she spent on the affair, and get you primary custody of Emma and Jack while this plays out. How long? For temporary orders? We can file tomorrow, get a hearing within 2 weeks. For the divorce itself? If we push hard and she doesn't fight, maybe 4 to 5 months. If she fights, could be a year or more. A year. A year of this limbo, this uncertainty, this nightmare. File everything, I said. Tomorrow. You got it. And Ryan? Don't talk to Tyler Brennan again. I don't care what he says about helping you. He's not your friend. He's trying to manage his own liability. After we hung up, I sat there for a long time. The paper Tyler had given me was still in my pocket. I pulled it out and unfolded it. Patricia Novak, Family Law and Paternity Specialist. A phone number. An address in downtown Sacramento. I crumpled it up and threw it in the trash. Then I went upstairs to tell my kids it was movie night. I spent Thursday morning going through every drawer, every closet, every pocket of every piece of clothing Melissa owned that she'd left behind. The stuff she'd packed had been minimal: a suitcase of clothes, her toiletries, some shoes. Everything else was still here. Our house. My house, soon enough. The kids were at school. I'd taken the day off work. Told my foreman I had a family emergency, which was true enough. I found her purse in the back of her closet. Not the everyday black leather one she carried to work. That one had gone with her. This was a smaller Coach bag, burgundy, the one she used for date nights and dinners out. I'd bought it for her 3 Christmases ago. I dumped it on the bed. Lipstick, compact mirror. Old receipts wadded up at the bottom. Expired coupons. A pack of gum. Her backup credit card. The one in just her name that I'd never paid much attention to. Loose change, a hair tie, and a hotel key card. White plastic with Magnolia Hotel Dallas printed in gold script across the front. I turned it over. There was a handwritten date on the back in blue ink. 3/15, last month. Melissa had gone to a conference in Dallas in mid-March. Some English teacher's thing about curriculum development. She'd been gone 3 days, Thursday through Saturday. I'd stayed home with Emma and Jack, made them dinosaur-shaped pancakes for breakfast, took them to the park. I'd trusted her. The card sat in my palm, light as nothing. I pulled out my phone and searched for the Magnolia Hotel Dallas. Found their number. Called. Magnolia Hotel Dallas, how may I direct your call? Front desk, please. A click, then a different voice. Front desk, this is Jordan speaking. How can I help you? Hi, yeah, I found a key card from your hotel, and I'm trying to figure out if it's still active or if I need to return it or what. We can certainly help with that. Do you have the card number? It should be on the magnetic strip side. I read off the series of numbers embossed on the back. 1 moment, please. Keyboard clicks. Okay, that card was issued on March 15th for a checkout date of March 17th. The reservation is closed and the card is no longer active. Can you tell me what name the room was under? I'm sorry, sir, I can't release guest information. I'd expected that. Right. Okay, what if I came in person? I'm actually going to be in Dallas next week for work. A lie, but whatever. Could I get the information then? You'd need to speak with a manager, and you'd need to provide identification proving you were the guest on the reservation. Got it. Thanks. I hung up, sat there staring at the key card. March 15th through 17th, 3 days. I pulled up our joint credit card statement on my phone, scrolled back to March. There it was. Magnolia Hotel Dallas, $847.32. Charged March 15th. I'd seen it before when I was going through the statements earlier this week. Had assumed it was just her hotel room for the conference. But $847 for 2 nights seemed high for a single room. I pulled up the Magnolia's website, checked their rates. Standard king room, $189 per night. Even with taxes and fees, 2 nights wouldn't come close to $847. I called the hotel back. Got Jordan again. Hi, me again. Quick question. What would make a 2-night stay at your hotel cost around $850? Well, that could be a suite or a standard room with additional charges like room service, minibar, parking, things like that. Were you looking to make a reservation? What's a suite run? Our junior suites start at $380 per night. Our executive suites are $549. I did the math. $549 times 2 nights plus taxes and fees. That'd be close to $847. Thanks. I hung up again. An executive suite for a work conference. I turned the key card over in my hands, thinking. Then I grabbed my wallet and keys. The Magnolia Hotel Dallas was a 45-minute drive from our house in North Dallas. I'd looked up the address. It was in downtown, near the Arts District. Upscale. The kind of place you took someone you wanted to impress. I walked into the lobby at 1:30 p.m. All marble floors and dark wood paneling, crystal chandeliers, leather furniture, a grand piano in the corner that nobody was playing. The front desk had 3 stations. A young guy in a vest stood at the middle one. His name tag said, Jordan. I walked up. Hi, I called earlier about a key card. He smiled politely. Oh yes, I remember. Did you have questions? I set the card on the counter. I need to know who was in this room. His smile got a little tighter. As I mentioned on the phone, sir, I can't release guest information without proper authorization. It's my wife's card. I'm trying to figure out if she was here alone or not. Something shifted in his expression. Understanding, maybe. Pity. I'm sorry, sir. I really can't help you with that. Privacy regulations. Can I speak to a manager? Of course. One moment. He picked up a phone, spoke quietly into it. 2 minutes later, a woman in a dark suit approached. 50-something, gray hair pulled back, professional smile. I'm Rebecca Thornton, the guest services manager. How can I assist you? I explained the situation, showed her my driver's license, showed her the credit card statement on my phone with the charge, showed her the key card. She listened, nodded, led me to a small office behind the front desk. Mr. Cooper, I understand this is a difficult situation, but our hotel policy is very clear about guest privacy. I can't disclose information about who stayed in a room without a court order. The room was paid for with my credit card. Joint account? My name is on it. I understand, but the reservation itself was made under a guest name, and that guest has a reasonable expectation of privacy. I stared at her. My wife is having an affair. I need to know if she was here with someone. Her expression softened. I'm truly sorry, but I can't help you without legal documentation. If you obtain a subpoena as part of divorce proceedings, we'll comply fully with the court's order. I wanted to argue, wanted to demand, but I could see it wouldn't matter. Fine. Can you at least tell me if it was a suite? She hesitated, looked at her computer screen. The room type isn't technically guest information. It was an executive suite, yes. And those go for $549 a night. That's correct. I stood. Thanks for your time. I sat in my truck in the parking garage, key card still in my hand. An executive suite. 2 nights. During a conference that supposedly had Melissa in sessions all day and networking events at night. I pulled out my phone, opened my photos, scrolled back to mid-March. There were pictures from that weekend. Emma and Jack at the park, Jack on the swings, Emma showing off the gap where her front tooth had fallen out. I'd sent them to Melissa. She'd responded with a heart emoji and "miss you guys." I opened our text thread from those days. Thursday, March 15th, 6:47 p.m. Me. Kids are fed and bathed. Emma wants to FaceTime before bed. Melissa. Give me 20 min. Just got out of a session. Need to grab dinner. Me. No problem. Friday, March 16th, 8:15 a.m. Melissa. Morning. How'd everyone sleep? Me. Good. Jack had a nightmare around 3 but went back down. You? Melissa. Exhausted. These sessions are intense. Probably going to skip the mixer tonight and just crash. Saturday, March 17th, 11:22 a.m. Me. What time's your flight? Melissa. 6:40. Should be home by 10. Me. Want me to pick you up? Melissa. No, I'll just Uber. Don't want to drag the kids out that late. Normal. Everything had seemed normal. I looked at the key card again, turned it over. The date on the back, 3/15, was in Melissa's handwriting. I knew her handwriting. The way she made her fives, the slant of her numbers. She'd kept it. Tucked it in her date night purse like a souvenir. I started the truck. Keith Lawson's office was in Uptown. I called from the road, told his assistant I needed to see him today. She said he had a 4 p.m. opening. I said I'd take it. I got there at 3:50, sat in the waiting room, key card in my pocket, phone in my hand. At 4:02, Keith's door opened. Ryan, come on in. I sat across from his desk, pulled out the key card, set it down. Found this in Melissa's purse. Magnolia Hotel, Dallas, March 15th through 17th. She was supposedly at a teaching conference. Keith picked up the card. You verify this? Called the hotel. They confirmed the dates, confirmed it was an executive suite. Wouldn't tell me who was registered. Said I'd need a subpoena. We can get that. He made a note. This is good. Concrete evidence of hotel stays, especially high-end suites, plays well in court. Shows a pattern of deception and financial waste of marital assets. The room was $847, our joint credit card. Even better, she's spending your money on the affair. He leaned back. We'll subpoena the hotel records. Get the full reservation details. Names, room service charges, everything. If she registered under a fake name or his name, that's more evidence of intentional deception. I nodded. How long for a subpoena? I can file it Monday. Usually takes a week or two to get the records back. And the divorce timeline? Where are we with that? Keith pulled up a file on his computer. I filed the petition yesterday. She'll be served within the next few days. We're pushing for expedited proceedings based on the pregnancy timeline, but realistically, we're looking at 4 to 6 months minimum. Texas has a 60-day waiting period from filing to finalization, and that's if everything goes smoothly and she doesn't contest. She's due in November, early November. I know. We're doing everything we can to beat that deadline. I sat there, doing the math. May, June, July, August, September, October. 6 months. It'd be close. What happens if we don't make it? Then you're legally presumed the father at birth, and we have to file for paternity testing after the fact. It complicates things. Adds time, adds cost, and in the meantime, you're on the hook for child support. Even if the test proves it's not mine. Even then, you'd have to petition the court to disestablish paternity, which can take months. And some judges are reluctant to do it if you've been acting as the father, even briefly. I closed my eyes. This is insane. It's Texas law. I'm sorry. I opened my eyes. Looked at the key card still sitting on his desk. Get me those hotel records. I want to know exactly who she was with. We will. Keith made another note. Anything else you found? Other cards, receipts, anything? Not yet, but I'm still looking. I drove straight to Lucia's, the Italian place on McKinney Avenue we'd been going to since our second anniversary. 7 years of celebrations, promotions, birthdays. The night I told her I wanted to try for a third kid, back when I still thought we were solid. I got there 20 minutes early. requested our usual table by the window. The server, Maria, same woman who'd brought us tiramisu every time, smiled like this was normal, like I wasn't about to blow up my marriage in her section. I ordered water, put the hotel keycard on the table, moved it to my lap, back to the table. The activation stamp caught the light. March 14th. The same conference where it supposedly started. Melissa arrived at 6:47. I watched her through the window, checking her lipstick in the CRV's mirror before getting out. She'd worn the blue dress I liked, the one from Nordstrom that cost too much but looked perfect on her. She slid into the booth across from me, leaned over for a kiss. I turned my head. Her lips caught my cheek. "You okay?" She set her purse, the same black leather one I'd been digging through this morning, on the seat beside her. "Fine." Maria came over. Melissa ordered her usual Pinot Grigio. I stuck with water. "You sure you're okay?" Melissa reached across the table. I pulled my hand back. "Rough day at the site." She accepted that. Started talking about Emma's upcoming parent-teacher conference. Something about Jack needing new cleats for soccer. I let her words wash over me, watching her mouth move, wondering how many lies had come out of it over the past 5 months. The wine came. She took a long sip. I pulled out the key card, set it on the table between us. She froze, glass halfway to her lips. "Found this in your purse this morning." I kept my voice level. "Looking for my truck keys." Her face went white, then red, then white again. "Ryan, Magnolia Hotel Dallas, Executive Suite, March 14th through 16th. I pulled out the printout I'd gotten this afternoon. Not from the hotel, they wouldn't give me that. But I'd called our credit card company, requested detailed statements for the past 6 months. They'd emailed them within an hour. I unfolded the paper, smoothed it flat next to her wine glass. $847, charged to our Visa, same weekend as your conference. "I can explain." "I don't want an explanation." I tapped the printout. "I want a name." "What?" "The man's name, the one you shared that room with." Maria appeared with menus, read the table, disappeared. "Ryan, please." "Was it Tyler?" Her silence was answer enough. "Jesus Christ," I sat back. "You took him to Dallas, on our credit card, booked a suite." I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted. His name. I leaned forward. "I want you to say his name, right now, in this restaurant, where we've been coming for 7 years. People at nearby tables were starting to look. I didn't care. "Tyler," her voice barely a whisper. "Tyler Brennan." Louder. "Ryan, say it louder, so I can hear it properly." "Tyler Brennan." Tears started down her cheeks. "I went to Dallas with Tyler Brennan." I nodded, folded the printout, put it back in my jacket pocket. "Thank you for finally being honest about something." I stood up, dropped 2 20s on the table for the wine and Maria's trouble. "Ryan, wait. Enjoy your dinner." I walked out. She didn't follow. Back home, I stood in the kitchen staring at her purse. She'd left it on the counter this morning, grabbed her work bag instead. The black leather one that cost $300. That I'd bought her for Christmas 2 years ago. I dumped it out on the counter. Wallet, keys, lipstick, gum, receipts, the hotel key card. I picked up the card, turned it over in my hands. This little piece of plastic that proved she'd shared a bed with another man, in a suite that cost more than our mortgage payment. While I was home with our kids, making them dinner, helping with homework, giving them baths. The microwave was right there. I opened the door, put the key card inside, set it for 2 minutes. It started to spark at 30 seconds. By a minute, it was warped and melted. At 2 minutes, it was a twisted piece of plastic slag. I took it out, dropped it in the trash. Then I went back to her purse, Found her wallet. Pulled out the Visa, the one with the Dallas charge. The MasterCard she'd used for the jewelry. Her Amex. All three went in the microwave, 2 minutes each. The magnetic strips bubbled and fried. The plastic warped. By the time I was done, they looked like something from a modern art exhibit. I threw them away. Felt nothing. The next morning, I called the Magnolia Hotel Dallas, asked for the manager. "This is Thomas Reeves. How can I help you?" "My name is Ryan Cooper. My wife stayed at your hotel in March, charged $847 to our joint credit card without my knowledge or permission. I'm disputing the charge." Silence. Then, "Sir, if you're disputing a charge, you'll need to contact your credit card company." "Already did. They're processing it. But I'm also filing a formal complaint with your hotel. My wife used our joint account to book a room for herself and another man. I never authorized that charge. I'm requesting you blacklist both her name and credit card from your system." "Mr. Cooper, I understand you're upset, but we can't blacklist guests based on marital disputes. She committed fraud, used a joint account for an unauthorized personal expense. I have documentation that I was not informed of this charge. Your hotel facilitated an extramarital affair and charged it to my account. I'm within my rights to dispute it and request she be banned from your properties." More silence. "I'll need to speak with our legal team." "You do that. In the meantime, I'm filing complaints with your corporate office, posting reviews on every travel site I can find, and making sure everyone knows the Magnolia Hotel Dallas helps married women cheat on their husbands and charges their spouses for it." "Sir, have a good day, Mr. Reeves." I hung up. Keith called that afternoon. "Got the credit card statements you sent? This is good. Really good." "How good?" "Good enough that we can argue financial infidelity alongside the affair. She used marital assets to fund the relationship. That plays well in settlement negotiations." "What about the hotel charge dispute?" "Smart move. Even if the credit card company doesn't reverse it, you've created a paper trail showing you didn't authorize it. That matters." "And the baby?" "Still waiting on the divorce filing to go through. Once we're official, we push for expedited proceedings. If we can get a decree before the birth, you're not presumed father. If not," he paused, "we'll cross that bridge." "How long?" "Texas requires a 60-day waiting period minimum. But with children involved, contested assets, and her pregnancy, we're looking at 3 to 6 months if she cooperates. Longer if she fights." I did the math. She was 8 weeks now. Baby due in late November, early December. 6 months from now was October. It would be close. Melissa came home that night around 8. I was in the garage organizing tools I didn't need to organize. She appeared in the doorway, eyes red, face blotchy. "My credit cards don't work." I kept sorting wrenches. "Ryan, my cards, they're all declined." "Probably because they're melted in the trash." "You, what?" "Microwaved them, along with that hotel key card. Figured since you used them to fund your affair, you didn't need them anymore." "That's insane. Those are my cards." "Joint accounts. My name's on them too. I have every right to destroy property that's half mine." "I need those cards." "Should have thought of that before you charged an $800 hotel suite to our Visa." She stood there, shaking. "I can't believe you're doing this." "I can't believe you did what you did." Guess we're both surprised. "I need money, Ryan, for gas, for food. You have a job, direct deposit. Use your checking account." "My debit card was in my wallet." "Request a new one. Bank'll have it to you in 7 to 10 business days." "That's a week." I finally looked at her. "Yeah, it is." She stared at me, waiting for me to cave, to feel sorry for her, to fix this. I went back to my wrenches. She left. The divorce was finalized on October 23rd. 5 months after I'd stood in that Home Depot, holding a can of deck stain. 4 weeks before Melissa was due. Keith had pushed hard, Used every piece of evidence I'd gathered. The hotel charges, the deleted texts I'd recovered from our phone bill, the jewelry store receipt, the Venmo payments to Tara W., who turned out to be a friend covering for Melissa's absences. The judge hadn't been impressed with any of it, but he'd granted the expedited timeline based on the questionable paternity. Melissa fought it at first. Hired an attorney who argued she needed more time, that the pregnancy made everything complicated, that we should wait until after the baby was born to finalize anything. Then Tyler's wife filed for divorce, named Melissa as co-respondent. Suddenly, Melissa's attorney was pushing for a quick settlement too. We split everything down the middle. House went to me. I bought out her half with money from my 401k. She got her car, half the savings, half my pension. I got primary custody of Emma and Jack. She got every other weekend and Wednesday dinners. The day the decree came through, I sat in Keith's office and signed my name 23 times. "You okay?" Keith asked when we finished. "Yeah." "The paternity question is still open. Once the baby's born, if she files for child support." "I know. We'll deal with it then." I drove home. The house was quiet. Emma and Jack were at school. I walked through the rooms: living room, kitchen, dining room we never used, the office where I'd found all those bank statements. Everything looked the same. Nothing was the same. Melissa gave birth on November 19th. A boy. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. She texted me a photo from the hospital. I didn't open it. 3 weeks later, I got served with paternity papers. She was requesting DNA testing and child support. Keith filed a response. We went to court in January. The DNA test took 10 minutes. A cheek swab, results in 2 weeks. I wasn't the father. Tyler Brennan was. The judge terminated my legal obligation that day. No child support, no custody arrangement. The baby, Melissa had named him Mason, was legally Tyler's problem now. Tyler, who'd lost his job at the school district when the affair became public. Tyler, who was paying child support to his ex-wife for their 2 boys. Tyler, who was now on the hook for a 3rd child with a woman he'd stopped seeing the day I'd confronted Melissa in our kitchen. I felt nothing when the judge read the results. No relief, no vindication, just a hollow space where something used to be. Emma asked about the baby once. We were driving to soccer practice. She was in the back seat, kicking her feet against my chair. "Mom has a baby now." "I know." "Is he our brother?" I gripped the steering wheel. "No, sweetie, he's not." "Why not?" "Because he's not my son. He's someone else's." She was quiet for a minute. Then, "Is that why you and Mom don't live together anymore?" "Part of it." "Do you still love Mom?" I looked at her in the rearview mirror. 7 years old, gap-toothed, innocent. "I love who your mom used to be," I said. "But people change sometimes." "That's sad." "Yeah, it is." She went back to kicking my seat. I let her. Jack was easier. He was only 5 when it happened. By the time he was 6, the divorce was just how things were. Mom's house on weekends. Dad's house the rest of the time. 2 Christmases. 2 birthdays. He adapted the way kids do, accepting the new reality because he didn't have a choice. Emma struggled more. She'd ask questions I couldn't answer. Why did this happen? When did it start? Did I do something wrong? Never, I'd tell her. You never did anything wrong. This is grown-up stuff. This is on us, not you. She didn't believe me. I could see it in her eyes. The way she'd gone quiet and careful, like she was walking on ice that might crack. The way she'd started asking permission for everything, like she was afraid of making me angry, of pushing me away too. I got her into therapy. A woman named Dr. Patricia Ellis, who specialized in children of divorce. Emma went every Tuesday after school. I'd sit in the waiting room, listening to the white noise machine outside Dr. Ellis's door, wondering what my daughter was saying about me in there. After 3 months, Dr. Ellis called me in for a parent session. "Emma's doing well," she said. "She's processing the divorce in healthy ways, but she's worried about you." "About me?" "She thinks you're lonely. She thinks you're sad all the time, but pretending not to be." I sat there, hands on my knees. "I'm fine. Are you?" "I'm managing." Dr. Ellis leaned forward. "Emma told me you don't smile anymore, that you used to joke around and be silly, and now you just go through the motions. She said it's like you're a robot version of her dad." That hit harder than it should have. "I'm doing my best." "I know you are, but kids are perceptive. They pick up on things we think we're hiding." She paused. "Have you considered therapy for yourself?" "I don't need therapy." "Everyone needs therapy after something like this." I didn't go. Didn't see the point. What would I talk about? How my wife destroyed our marriage. How I'd been too blind to see it happening. How I'd worked 60-hour weeks to provide for my family while she was booking hotel suites with another man. I knew all that already. Didn't need to pay someone to tell me. A year after the divorce, I ran into Tyler at Target. I was in the hardware section looking at light bulbs. He was 2 aisles over, pushing a cart with a car seat in it. Mason, I assumed. Almost a year old now. He saw me. Froze. I nodded once, kept walking. "Ryan," he followed me. "Wait." I stopped, turned around. He looked terrible, thinner. Gray in his beard that hadn't been there before. Dark circles under his eyes. I just wanted to say, he stopped. Started again. "I'm sorry, for everything. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I needed to say it." "Okay." I lost everything. My job, my marriage, my kids barely talk to me. He gestured at the car seat. "And now I've got this one. And Melissa and I can't stand each other. But we're stuck co-parenting for the next 18 years. That's rough. I deserve it. I know I deserve it. But I just wanted you to know that I think about what I did every single day. What we did. And I'm sorry." I looked at him. This man who'd blown up my life, who'd slept with my wife in hotel rooms I'd paid for, who'd gotten her pregnant, and then tried to help me navigate the legal mess he'd created. "You know what the worst part is?" I said. "What?" "I don't even hate you. I should, but I don't. You're just some guy who made bad choices. Same as her. Same as everyone. I don't know if that makes it better or worse." "Neither do I." I walked away. Left him standing there with his cart and his baby and his regrets. 2 years after the divorce, I started dating again. Her name was Ashley. We met at Emma's soccer game. She was there watching her niece play. We got to talking on the sidelines. She laughed at my jokes, touched my arm when she spoke, looked at me like I was interesting. It felt familiar. Too familiar. I ended it after 3 dates. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked when I called to tell her I wasn't ready for this. "No, you're great. I'm just not there yet." "It's been 2 years." "I know." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "You're still in love with your ex-wife." "No, I'm not." "Then what is it?" I didn't have an answer for that. The truth was, I didn't know how to trust anymore. Every time a woman smiled at me, I wondered what she was hiding. Every time someone laughed at my jokes, I questioned if it was real or performance. Every relationship felt like a loaded gun, something that could go off at any moment and destroy everything I'd rebuilt. So I stopped trying, focused on Emma and Jack instead, on being the parent they needed, the stable one, the one who showed up, the one who didn't lie or cheat or blow up their world. I coached Jack's t-ball team, helped Emma with her math homework, made them breakfast every morning, pancakes on weekends, cereal during the week, packed their lunches, drove them to school, picked them up, took them to practice, to friends' houses, to the movies. I built a life around them. And slowly, Over months and years, it started to feel like enough. 5 years after the divorce, Emma was 12 and Jack was 10. We were at the dinner table, the same one where I'd confronted Melissa that first day, though I'd replaced it 3 years ago with something new. Emma was telling me about her day at school. Jack was building a tower out of chicken nuggets. "Dad?" Emma said. "Yeah? You seem happier lately." I looked up from my plate. "Yeah? Yeah. You smile more. You joke around again. You're like, you again." Jack nodded, nugget tower forgotten. "You're not robot dad anymore." I laughed. Actually laughed. "I was never robot dad." "You totally were," Emma said. "For like 3 years. It was weird." "Well, I'm sorry about that." "It's okay," she shrugged. "You're better now." And maybe I was. Maybe it just took time. Time to process. Time to heal. Time to remember who I was before all of this happened. Or maybe I'd never be that person again. Maybe that Ryan Cooper, the one who'd stood in Home Depot holding deck stain, the one who'd believed in forever and trusted his wife and thought he had it all figured out, was gone for good. But this version, the one sitting at the table with his kids, making them laugh, being present, this version was okay. This version was enough. I never did finish staining that deck. Tore the whole thing down instead. Built a new one, bigger, better. Used composite material instead of wood so it wouldn't need staining at all. It took me 3 weekends. Emma and Jack helped, handing me screws and tools, getting in the way more than actually helping. But we did it together. When we finished, we stood back and looked at it. The new deck, stretching across our backyard. Solid. Clean. Nothing like the old one. "Looks good, Dad," Emma said. "Yeah," I agreed. "It does." And it did. The thing about betrayal is that it changes you in ways you don't expect. Not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly, over time, you realize you're different. You're more cautious, more guarded. You don't give your trust away freely anymore because you've learned how much it costs when someone breaks it. But you also become stronger, more resilient. You learn that you can survive things you never thought you could. That you can rebuild after everything falls apart. That the end of one thing can be the beginning of something else. Melissa and I never spoke again after the divorce, except through lawyers and brief texts about the kids. She married Tyler eventually. A small ceremony, no one from our old life invited. They moved to Austin, had another baby, posted happy family photos on social media that I never looked at. Emma and Jack saw her every other weekend, then once a month, then a few times a year. The distance made it easier. For them, for me, for everyone. I don't know if she's happy. I don't care. I know I'm okay. And for a long time, that felt like the best I could hope for. But lately, 5 years out, with my kids thriving and my life stable and my new deck holding strong, I've started to think that maybe okay isn't the ceiling. Maybe it's just the foundation. Maybe there's more ahead. Maybe someday I'll meet someone who makes me want to try again. Who makes me believe that not everyone lies, not everyone leaves, not everyone destroys what you've built together. Or maybe I won't. Maybe this is it. Me and Emma and Jack and our quiet life in our house with our new deck and our Sunday morning pancakes and our inside jokes and our hard-won peace. And if that's all there is, that's enough. Because the truth I learned in the 5 years since that screenshot changed, everything is this. You can't control what other people do. You can't make someone love you, stay faithful to you, choose you. All you can control is how you respond, how you rebuild, how you show up for the people who need you. And in the end, that's all any of us can do. Show up, do the work, build something new from the wreckage. And trust that someday, when you least expect it, you'll look around and realize you're not just surviving anymore. You're living.